Have you ever felt lost in the details of the Bible? Like you're reading a bunch of names and numbers that don't seem to connect to the bigger story? I've been there. But sometimes, hidden within those lists are some of the most profound truths. Today, we're diving into Numbers chapters 3 and 4, and I promise you, what seems like a simple census reveals something incredible about God's heart for order, service, and His special presence among His people. So, let's set the scene. The Israelites are in the wilderness, a massive community learning to live together under God's guidance. In the very center of their camp is the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, God's dwelling place. It's the heartbeat of the nation. And God gives specific instructions on who is to care for this sacred space. It's not a job for just anyone. He chooses one specific tribe, the Levites. In chapter 3, God says, "Bring the tribe of Levi near and present them to Aaron the priest so they may minister to him." Instead of receiving a portion of the promised land like the other tribes, the Levites' inheritance was the Lord Himself. Their full-time job, their entire identity, was wrapped up in serving God and His people by tending to the tabernacle. Think about that for a moment. An entire tribe set apart for ministry. This wasn't a punishment, it was a unique and holy calling. The chapter then goes into a detailed census of the Levites, counting every male from 1 month old and upward. They were a substitute for the firstborn sons of all Israel, who were originally consecrated to God after He saved them from the final plague in Egypt. God essentially says, "The Levites are mine." This shows us a God of detail and substitution. He provides a way for His holy things to be cared for, and He provides a substitute to redeem His people. It's a beautiful foreshadowing of the ultimate substitute, Jesus, who redeems us all. The Levites were then organized into 3 main clans, each with specific duties. The Gershonites were in charge of the tabernacle's coverings and curtains. The Kohathites had the most sacred task, carrying the Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, the lampstand, and the altars. These were the holiest objects, and they had to be carried on their shoulders. No carts allowed. This tells us something powerful about proximity to God's presence. It requires personal, careful, and reverent handling. The Merarites were responsible for the heavy lifting, the frames, pillars, bases, and pegs of the tabernacle. They handled the structure, the very foundation of God's dwelling place. Each clan had a designated place to camp around the tabernacle, acting as a protective buffer between the holy presence of God and the rest of the Israelite camp. This wasn't just about practical organization. It was a living, breathing diagram of holiness. The closer you were to the center, the greater your responsibility. This teaches us that drawing near to God is a privilege that comes with the responsibility of living a set-apart life. Now, chapter 4 zooms in even further. It's no longer a census of all Levite males, but specifically those between the ages of 30 and 50, the prime years for service. God is incredibly practical. He calls those in their strength to do this demanding work. The chapter repeats the duties of each clan but adds more detail, especially for the Kohathites. Aaron and his sons, the priests, had to first go in and cover all the holy objects before the Kohathites could even touch them. If they saw or touched the holy things improperly, they would die. This might sound harsh, but it powerfully illustrates the absolute holiness of God. His presence is not something to be treated casually. It demands reverence, respect, and obedience to His specific instructions. It wasn't about God being angry, but about teaching His people the sheer weight and glory of His nature. This careful, ordered service ensured that the most sacred place on earth was honored and that the people were protected from its overwhelming power. So, what can we take away from these 2 chapters today? First, God is a God of order, not chaos. He has a plan and a purpose for everyone. Second, serving God is a high and holy calling. Whether you're in full-time ministry or serving in your local community, your work for the Lord is valuable and significant. And third, approaching God requires reverence. He is holy, And while he invites us near through Jesus, we should never lose our sense of awe and wonder. These chapters, which seem like just lists and rules, are actually a blueprint for a community centered on God, where everyone has a part to play in honoring his glorious presence. Thank you so much for joining me to explore these incredible chapters. If this helped you see the Bible in a new light, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into God's Word. Let me know in the comments what stood out to you. See you in the next video.